Good evening, everyone. We'll be starting here in just a few seconds. Let's make sure my audio is working. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is the midweek weather update, and we are starting right now at 8:40. So, presented by Flagler Weather Info. So, let's go ahead and get right to it. So, a quick look at our forecast for those of you that don't have a whole lot of time to watch. That's why we do this right at the beginning. So, for Thursday, Friday, generally pleasant conditions. It will be quite warm though, with temperatures challenging 90 degrees, largely sunny. There could be fog in the morning, and then now don't be surprised to see some sea fog blowing in from the ocean. That's entirely possible as some of the warmer air moves out over the ocean. So we had a little bit of that today. So we could possibly see that again. And then Saturday, Sunday, continuing with breezy and warm conditions. Again, high temperatures approaching 90 degrees. Pretty good breezes out of the southeast, especially in the afternoon. At night, cooling off into the 60s, maybe near 70 at the beaches. Now, our next chance of rain, maybe some thunderstorms, will be Monday, more so later in the day, and then it might linger into Tuesday just a bit. Of course, when you get that far off in the forecast, it starts getting a little fuzzy, so there might be some tweaks to that. Of course, we will be back here probably Saturday or Sunday, most likely Sunday, with our weekly update. So be sure to tune in for that. Generally, we present it in the evening, depending on when time allows. So let's get into the details now. So just a reminder, get warned. You can get notified of severe weather, tornado warnings, all that kind of stuff, or any other emergency warnings by signing up for Alert Flagler. FlaglerCounty.gov/alertflagler, completely free. So let's go ahead and get right into the local weather and why and what is driving it. Right now, significant severe weather outbreak ongoing through the Midwest and Kentucky, Tennessee. Quite significant severe weather outbreak. Now, good news for us is that severe weather is going to be missing us. This frontal system is going to slowly work its way. And bad news, if you got any friends that live up in Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, just make sure they're really paying attention to the weather. There's also potential for some really significant flooding in this area here in the next several days. If you have travel plans this way, if you get friends up in this direction, just make sure they're paying attention to the weather. Some really serious flooding, some historical flooding is increasingly likely in this area here. When you get 3 or 4 inches of rain in Florida, it's not a big deal. You get that up there, it's a problem. So, but this front is going to slowly move towards us and get to us by Monday. Again, the worst of this weather will be well away when that happens, but it is going to bring some unsettled weather this direction. After that front gets by, then much cooler air will then follow in behind it. So we're going to see a bit of a cold snap. So believe that or not as we go into the latter part of the upcoming week. So let's get into the forecast details now. So pretty much the same Thursday through Sunday. Morning fog, patchy cloud building in the afternoon. The sea breeze will probably chase a lot of those clouds inland. So you see the patchy cloud building up, but then as the sea breeze kicks in, all those clouds will be pushed inland away from the beaches and further inland as the day progresses. Again, possibility of sea fog blowing in off the ocean and late night and early morning fog during those overnight hours. High temperatures peaking 88 to 90. I would say 90 out here, maybe west of Bunnell, Daytona North, Mondex, Andalusia, Haw Creek, Lake Distant. At the beaches, you'll probably be solidly in the 70s, in the 80s there, because that ocean temperature is still rather cool. Low temperatures 65 to 70. Of course, the warmer readings right along the beaches and cooler as you go inland. So low temperatures near Bunnell, most of Palm Coast, probably right around 65 degrees, right around 70 or so at the immediate beaches. But as soon as you get west of the intercoastal waterway, you're going to notice things cooling off. Now, as we go into Monday, we're going to see our increasing chances of showers and storms getting into the picture. This will be our next chance of rain and chance of the odd storm being strong. So like we had yesterday, we could get the odd strong thunderstorm. Not not expecting any sort of a severe weather outbreak by any stretch, but the odd storm could be strong. High temperatures still peaking up again near those mid to upper 80s, but temperatures cooling off down into the upper 50s as we get into Monday night. And most of this weather actually more likely in those overnight, late night hours, but we could kick off in the afternoon. Tuesday, showers and a storm, likely more showers and thunderstorms, though. This is the way things look. This forecast can get tweaked. High temperature just getting to 70, maybe lower 70s, so quite a bit cooler than it's been as of late. Low temperature bottoming out. Look at that, near 50 degrees for a low temperature. And again, just like normal, it'll be warmer at night along the beaches and cooler as you go inland. And then during the day, it'll be warmer inland and maybe a little cooler at the beaches, though 70 degrees will be about universal across the county. Now, as we go further afield and go further into what's going to be going on as we go into next week, look at this. Substantial chances and good strong signals of cooler than normal temperatures in the southeast, including Flagler County. So very good chances of that. We're not talking about a freeze or anything like that, but we can see lows down in the 40s maybe. That's what that could possibly mean. And high temperatures struggling to get to 70, so maybe even highs only getting into 60s. This might be the last hurrah of cool weather that we'll see. Precipitation chances above normal as we go through this same time period. This takes us from April 8th to April 12th. So this takes us into the middle to the end of next week. So going even further afield, this takes us into the following weekend and early the next week. So basically getting us into the middle part of April. Generally below normal temperatures will begin to move off, but still be influencing us in that time frame. Warmer than normal temperatures to our west, and that'll probably be working its way our direction. Then precipitation chances rate about normal or so can be expected at least into the middle part of April. So going even the longer range, this takes us all the way through April into the beginning of May, averaging out, expecting generally above normal temperatures for all of us and below normal precipitation. So that does not mean it won't rain at all, but it means the overall trend for the month of April will be warmer than normal, even with that cool snap factored in, and below normal precipitation is what is expected. And sadly, the folks that don't need it will be getting it again. So, okay, wildfires. Let's talk about that because that's been a concern. So sadly, that rain we had the other day didn't really do much to knock down the fire danger. We are still in the game for that. And so I want to urge everyone out there to please be very careful with any ignition sources outside as you could potentially light off a wildfire. And it's one thing we do not want to have. So we have increased our wildfires in Flagler County. There's currently 4 contained fires. This one's about 3 acres. This one's about 3 acres. This one's about 3 acres. This one down here is also, I think, about 3 or 4 acres, so nothing really big. But we've got 4 areas that are under watch by the Florida Forest Service. These are fully contained, meaning that they've been worked over, contained. They are not. They might still be smoldering, it might still be burning a little bit, but they're not really going anywhere. They're not a threat at this point to go anywhere. They are being monitored. It doesn't mean that you can't get one that breaks out. That's why they are being monitored and closely watched. This one over here in Pearson, which is over in Volusia County, but it's near us, so I will feature it, is active, and they're currently combating that one right now as I speak. So that means this red means that fire is being actively worked. So this is everything we got going on right now in Flagler County as of today, as of Wednesday. And of course, this is dynamic. If you Google Florida Forest Service wildfire map, you can find this. This is live, so you can stay up to date on what's going on with the wildfire situation in Flagler County. That brings us to this. The fire danger remains high. The rain did not make a dent in it. It brought the drought index down to 386 initially, but we're now 389, and it's on its way back up, and won't take long for it to be back up to where it was. We were over 400 before that rainfall hit. So we're hoping that with these little bouts of rain that we've been getting, that'll keep us out of trouble. So we'll have to wait and see how that shakes out. So Flagler County, we are still in drought conditions up by us. Not far away. They're in pretty good shape. And down in southern Florida, even though they did get some relief, they still have, drought conditions down there. So until we get into the rainy season, we will likely, unless we are lucky enough to get some big wet weather system that moves over us, which is always a possibility, we're going to be dealing with this concern. So at the beaches, surf 3 to 5 feet. Surf temperature is slowly coming up. It's at 71 degrees. That is tolerable, but quite chilly to be in. So just keep that in mind. High risk of dangerous rip currents. So for locals, that's not a big deal. We all know how to get out of them. But if you got friends from out of town, if you got spring breakers from out of town, from an area that they're not used to the ocean, just make sure they're very keen on those rip currents, on how to get out of them before they get into that water. Because the rip currents is the most dangerous thing in nature for here in Flagler County. We've had more people drown in rip currents other than, by any other, natural disasters, if you will. More people have died in rip currents than in all the other weather phenomena combined here in Flagler County since I've been here. I've been here since 1980. UV index is also very high, so if you're outside, even if you're not at the beach, make sure you're using proper sun protection if you're going to be out there at the beaches. So anyhow, again, just a reminder, folks, that, the fire danger is up high, so just be aware of that. Next round of unsettled weather looks to be Monday, Tuesday. So, and for folks that's joining us, if you wish to rewatch this, you can do that. I will also put the link up to our YouTube presentation. You can go to that and watch this as well. So that's going to wrap it up. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in and watching. Our next presentation, unless something special happens, is expected to be either Saturday or Sunday evening, most likely Sunday evening. So until then, everybody have a pleasant day, have a pleasant rest of the week, and thank you for joining us.